Hello, everyone. This is Shama with Girls and Geese. We're back for yet another Ask a Black Belt segment. Today, we are super excited. We have a very special guest on with us today, all the way from across the other side of the world in Qatar. We have Yasmin Koya. She'll be joining us today, and we have a lot of interesting topics that we'll be discussing today. So, how are you doing, Yasmin?
Oh, I'm great, Shama. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to have you on here today. I'm excited to have this discussion and get to know
Thank
you a
you.
little
Thank
bit
you. Thanks
better.
for having me. I appreciate it a
So
lot.
how did you
Okay.
get started in jiu-jitsu? What kind of piqued your interest, and I, where did you get started?
Okay. Well, I'd have to like really take it back to the beginning, where my interest was piqued through the of course the infamous Hoist Gracie UFC. And that was the first time that I watched any sort of like martial art with my husband, and we watched the fights, and it was like a really long video, and I couldn't stop watching. We couldn't stop watching. We were gonna section it, but then it was just so interesting, and we watched the whole thing, and we were both amazed at the things he was doing. And that was like the first time that we had any exposure to jujitsu. We didn't even know what he was doing. Like, although they said it, but it kind of like never clicked with us or anything. So we just kind of watched it. We're amazed by it, and I was like, wow, this is like awesome, right? Yeah, like I want to know more about this. But then after that happened, it kind of just, you just got on with it, because I was never like into martial arts at that point. This was just, I was still in my 20s. Well, only 20 then. And just doing the whole mom thing and everything like that. Then after that, my interest came again a little bit. It became more active when the Ultimate Fighter, the show, came out. And I used to love watching that show. And then I started to realize that I was more interested whenever they went down on the ground. And whenever, like when they were boxing, like kind of like would get bored. I was like, yeah, okay, he hit him, yeah, he hit him back, whatever. I was like, take it to the ground. I'm probably like the opposite. People are like, take on, stand them up. But yeah, when they, because I found it so interesting when they went down and there were chokes, and I had no idea what they were doing, but I just felt like it was such a smart sport. And I was like, wow, this is really intriguing. And then the more I started watching, then they would have like, I used to skip through a lot of it, because it's like a reality TV show. So it's really like a lot of nonsense.
Skip the drama, get to the
Yeah, yeah,
action.
exactly. Yeah. But I loved watching their training. And when they did like the jujitsu training and the grappling training, it really like, I used to love it. And then I started to think like, this is really something like I could do, because right before that I had done some Jeet Kune Do, and I enjoyed it, but it was kind of like I was always left behind, because I was small in size, and although strong for my size, I just couldn't match that strength, and so everything was just like weak. Like everyone would come and punch the bag, and it would like move, and then when I punch, it's like nothing. I'm like, I didn't get that feeling of empowerment, that
Yeah,
I
yeah.
that I was doing any damage. So I was like, ah. So eventually, I think I started to lose interest, and I stopped doing it. I got injured, and then I stopped, and then I never really went back. But then when I was watching the UFC, I was really intrigued by it. But again, it was just something that I saw, and I was like, oh, it'd be nice to do, but had no idea where, when, how, what, right? So kind
Mhm.
of just left it. But then after we used to live in the UAE at that point. I was born and raised in the UAE, by the way. And so then we moved to Qatar, and then over here, we have like my husband had a friend who started to tell him, "Oh yeah, we have jujitsu classes. You should come." And my husband, at by this point, he had been exposed to jujitsu already. He had some friends, and they were just kind of like messing around and things like that. Um, but then this was the first time he actually went to a class, and when I heard, I was like, you have to go. Yeah, and when you go, you have to remember stuff, and you got to bring it back, and you have to show them how to do it. I was like, I said, no way, you have to remember the things. I need to learn with you. And he was, yeah, sure. And then I remember he went to the class, and then the first few moves that I learned were actually on our bed, and because no mats,
No mats,
nothing like
yeah.
that. Yeah. And we had just moved into the country as well, so we were just kind of starting off. So then, like I remember I learned the rear naked choke and the Americana, these kind of moves on the bed. So it's like, and I was like, wait, what now? Wait, what did you do? Oh my god! And I remember the first feeling, like of real sure feeling that this is a sport I want to take it. And I didn't really say, oh, I want to get a black belt or anything like that. It didn't occur to me, but I was like, I want to take this all the way.
Yeah.
Was when I did my first mount reversal. Until
Ah.
this day. Yeah, I remember that, and until now, but it's one of the moves that I teach, even though I've gotten so tired of teaching it because, you know,
It's your go-to.
yeah. But it's like it's something that every time you teach, especially women, they get this in their eyes, like, oh my god, did I just do that? I just threw a person or 100-kilo man off of me,
Mhm.
like it's nothing. And that feeling of empowerment, I still remember that because I did it on my husband, and I was like, come on, tell me, you fell off on your own, right? You did you did this on your own. And he's like, nope, nothing. So that's the time when I actually felt like, okay, this is for me, and I really want to learn this, and I
Mhm.
want my kids to learn it. I want my daughters to learn it because my son was already learning it with his father.
Mhm.
But I said, my daughters need to learn this as well because at that time they were going to judo classes, but the class wasn't structured. Like unfortunately, I mean, I know it's like that the world over, but it's a little bit more so over here. Is like the women's sport is so watered down, and there's not. They don't not of course I'm not talking about all the sports here, but like
Mhm.
many of the times, they don't pay that much attention to girls. When they
Mhm.
become women and they become like athlete level, then yeah. But in the beginning they just kind of like, oh, just go do some jumping jacks and run in circles, and then that's it. So
Yeah.
my girls weren't learning anything. So then I said that, what, I'm just going to start teaching them. And then when I started to teach them, a lot of my friends and neighbors said that, oh, we want our girls to join as well. So I was like, look, guys, I'm just learning now. I'm just a white belt, and I don't know much myself. They're like, no, no, it's okay, fine. They're whatever you have, we want them to learn because it's self-defense. So I was like, okay. So I remember I started with the Gracie bully-proof videos. I still remember, yeah, for the kids because I wanted something, to go by.
Mhm.
So it's not, I didn't want to just, I felt responsible for these kids and to teach them the right way. I didn't want to just pull anything out, especially being a white belt. I didn't really know much.
Mhm.
So then we started to do that, and because I was teaching the kids, I always, no matter what happened, I always tried to keep my training up because I wanted to keep improving so that I could keep having stuff to teach the
Mhm.
girls. So it was mainly, yeah, that's how it started out. That's why I always tell my girls, like, that I started this for you guys, and I'm so glad I did, but yeah, and it's so far so good, and now they're blue belts, they're both blue belts.
Aw.
One is 16 and the other is 18. And, we have quite a few blue belts as well. But now due to COVID, of course, everything's shut down right now. We have a lockdown, but
Mhm.
normally, yeah, there's quite a good scene going on in Qatar. Yeah.
So what kind of like what keeps you going? Do you find that like you still have that kind of passion and drive, or has that shifted from when you first started?
Oh,
Yeah.
it's yeah, okay.
And
Right.
what are some of
Okay.
your goals going forward too?
Okay. Yeah. So that's what's changed like constantly, like with every belt, that
Mhm.
has changed. Like the source of my motivation and my goals have changed, right?
Mhm.
So like of course as a white belt it was just about learning, and then as a blue belt it started to be more about strengthening and getting to the next belt. But then at
Mhm.
the same time, I was always a coach. I pretty much throughout my learning period I was always a coach,
Mhm.
and I always tell my students that you guys should all come in and help in with the teaching because I feel like the moves that I know from teaching. I know them so well because every time I'm explaining it to my students, it clicks in my head and I'm like, oh, that's why, you know, I'm sure if you've taught, you know that feeling, right? And then you'll never forget that. You know, when you teach it, you'll never forget it.
No.
If it's taught to you, you may not pay attention, you know, and you might forget that. But when you teach it, no, you're not going to forget it. So I felt like that was always a good way for me to know that, okay, teaching is really good for me to learn. So I'm going to continue doing it. And then after I got to purple belt, I started to have all these students that were like catching up and coming almost to blue belt level. So at that time, that was my motivation. I was like, I have to, you know, sharpen my game. I have to, you know, I gotta always have something to give to these ladies. And then, you know, slowly, then by the time I got to brown belt level, it kind of became like a no-brainer that I was gonna take it to black. So there's no way, you know?
Like no turning back now.
Exactly, yeah. So before it was like, yeah, I can't, you know, I hope I can make it to black. I hope. Then at that point, I was like, nah. I was just like, come on, this is gonna be like a loss if I stop now, right? So that was never a question. So that wasn't even like a source of motivation. Actually, when I got my black belt, I was shocked out of my mind, because I still felt like there was so much that I needed to learn before I get to that level. But I guess that's always going to be there, you know, because even I don't see it until now, even 10 years down the road, I don't see myself knowing enough to think I'm a coach, you know. So yeah, so then when I did then after that at brown belt level, I felt like I needed to start taking things more you know, making things more in my students' interests, because the classes started to grow, and I had 2 branches now, you know, in different locations. Yeah. So and we had
awesome.
so we had like 20 students per location, and then there's kids as well. So you know, like there was quite a few ladies on and off training or whatever. So I decided to host a competition, an in-house, an in-house competition, which is like unheard of. You know, in many sports. I mean, leave jiu-jitsu aside, but the way we didn't have any cameras. We so yeah, so like we're not supposed to we can remove our veil and everything in front of ladies, right? But not in front of men. Okay. So but whether that be through cameras or through windows or through any way, right? So that's why I had to, like, we have cameras in our gym. We turned off the cameras. We had security at the door that was checking in everyone's phones. And so that the ladies that are covered could feel comfortable to remove, you know, and without ending up on the internet somewhere. Okay. So this is actually kind of a very big struggle for us ladies, you know, that cover, because everyone has a phone. And even in our class, many times you have some people who are not Muslim or who are new to the country that don't really realize, even though we have signs everywhere saying no pictures, but they'll start like videoing their kids or something like that. And then we did have, unfortunately, an incident where they were videoing the girls, and my daughter kind of ended up on her video on Facebook. And it was very, you know, she was quite upset. But you know, she didn't know the lady. In all fairness, I guess she didn't see the sign. But we asked her to remove it, and then she did remove it, obviously. But yeah, so we constantly struggle with this. But that's why, like, for me, I feel like it's a real big responsibility to make sure that I keep that safe space, because I have women who will not compromise, you know, and if they feel like they're in a place where they don't trust the person with the videos and things like that, they just won't participate. So I wanted to create that space for these women to have someone they could trust. And because I cover like this as well, like them, they feel secure, because they're like, okay, if coach isn't covered, that means it must be safe. There must not be any men around. So it's gotten to that point. And it's amazing for me, because that was also one of my, like, through the time. And that's why I wanted to do the competition as well, because I wanted my girls to be able to get that feeling, because I know they're not going to be able to compete. Anyway, especially the ones who cover their face. It's not even possible for them to do it, even if it's not even just about IBJJF allowing it. It's just not possible. And that's not the reason we're doing it. We're not looking to be competitors. We just want to get into self-defense. And, just because you can't compete in something doesn't mean it's not viable.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So over time, just my motivation kept changing. And now I think my goal right now is just to bring awareness to ladies only programs. And, for the hijabis out there, for the niqabis out there. And then some also, I have a lot of students that are not Muslim even, but who don't feel comfortable due to their cultural reasons or their personal preferences. They feel more comfortable training with women. And I think that there's a big platform out there, because more and more women I talk to, they all think it's such a dream that we have a ladies only class. And I didn't realize that. I thought that it was just, for us, because of our religious, beliefs, we, accepted that. But they were like, wow, that's so awesome. I would love to train there. And then we've had quite a few visitors as well who stop by and they train with us. And they're like, wow, you guys are legit. I'm like, yeah, what did you think? We're like, just yeah, because people tend to have that stereotypical image of us, and they probably think like they're gonna come in and find us drinking tea or sewing clothes or something. I don't know.
And you're in there doing jiu-jitsu, choking each other out and breaking
right
limbs.
Yeah, so they come in shocked out of their mind. And sometimes people just come in during the class, they see me and they're like, okay, coach, so when we train, we remove everything and we train in a gi just like everybody else. But whenever when we're going to take pictures and we're going to promote it on social media, we have to cover up. All right. So so many people tend to have this misconception that we train like this. But that's not, I've never said that. I've never promoted that, or I've never asked to be like the ones who wear hijab. Yeah, they want to be promoted, because they want to be able to compete and, they can show themselves training. But we cannot be seen, basically, and there's no way to train without uncovering our face. It's going to be, I mean, you wouldn't even have to choke us. All of the face over here, that's it, yeah. So yeah, we have a very comfortable space. We have our own little building, and it's in the same building as the men's gym, but it's off. It's like a separate entrance, and we have our own bathroom and our own room. Very nice matted space. I mean, you've probably seen them in the pictures. And we have ladies come in and they're very comfortable. Everybody removes everything. We train like everybody else. I'm a very I don't go easy on anybody. And you can tell by the size of my class, like you don't have people who join us and stay mean business.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You won't really have like selfie girls in our gym.
they're there to train.
Yes, exactly. They're there to train. And then also, like you can't really take any pictures and stuff after. I mean, you can, but you have to warn, and it's like, so it's not really a place you could just come to hang out and stuff. No, you come, you train hard. And they get a lot of grief from me if their gis aren't wet at the end of the training as well. So just like everyone else, like I make sure that we have really good training, and I do I'm that kind of a person who just, my personality has always been to where I don't like to take too much on my plate, but when I do take something, I make sure I do it to the best of my ability, and I try my best.
Well, judging by the size of your classes and how many women are coming and training, and the example and role model that you've become, I'd say that you're doing your best there when it shows.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
What do you think the secret is to having to, I'm assuming, is it common, I guess, for women in Qatar to train, or is it pretty uncommon? And what do you think has been the success? Like what components have been part of your success in having that women's program?
I would say for us mainly was patience. I had two students when I started, and then 3, then 2, then 1, then 2, then 3. It's like, yeah, it took what people don't see when they see the pictures now, and it's like, and compared to the men, that's still nothing. But this is like, because we don't have another choice, we don't give up.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time people will be like other female black belts will probably be like, I'm not making any money off of this. Why am I even going to do this? And they're going to shut down when they have, even now, sometimes like now with COVID, we have like 5 ladies that want to train.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, okay, let's go. Because, that's we're either training like that or we're not training, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just always, it's always that factor that we don't have any other choice. So we have given this a nice and good try, and it worked. And that's why now at this, and I always believed that it would work. And there were people who thought that, oh, this could never really work and stuff like that. But well, we proved them wrong, because it did work, and we're still going strong, alhamdulillah. And on our way, like a lot of ladies are learning. The thing here in Qatar is like, everything you want to do, that's the great thing about people that wear hijab here, is you can do ladies only anything. There's opportunities, where you can do ladies only things. Even in the gyms, they have MMA gyms, and you can do the mixed classes, or you can do the mixed classes, or you can choose to do the ladies only classes, and but for what jiu-jitsu is, I feel it's like a mixed kind of thing, with those people that actually come like looking for proper combat and self-defense. Like a lot of my students, I mean, I've had students like from graffiti artists to research scientists. I mean, so there's no, and that's jiu-jitsu, right? There's no, like, there's not a small pool. It can be, anybody can get interested in it. And a lot of moms, but what everyone has in common, okay, anyone that joins jiu-jitsu doesn't leave it because I'm not into it anymore, or I don't really like jiu-jitsu. No, after 2 or 3 months of training, like, people usually leave because of some circumstances, like whatever, the timing didn't work or things like that, like it didn't work for them. But everybody always wants to do it.
Mm-hmm.
The ladies, like, they love doing that here. And Qatar is being a very small country. There's limited amount of activities to do and stuff. It's not, although there's a lot, but still, there's only so much you can, so many classes and stuff that you can take. So jiu-jitsu is something that, like, women feel like it's so hardcore, and they can actually do it. And then even the training is very, it's not watered down, our training at all. Like even in the gyms and stuff, they have classes for ladies, and they go for Zumba or this or that. They just don't get that adrenaline rush.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Yeah, it's just, you sweat or whatever. But over here, you actually have fun and you feel so empowered, and all these things. So yeah, so usually it's always good reviews from the students about jiu-jitsu. People love it. The only problem is that people don't know about it, so whenever they come, they're like, what is this, what are you doing, is it wrestling, is it? So I always have to answer that question to most of the new students. I rarely have person walk in, a new student walk in knowing what jiu-jitsu is. Yeah.
So are they just like hearing it like word of mouth, like, hey, there's this self-defense like classes that are here, and then they just show up and they just kind of, that's how you're getting a lot of it? Okay.
Yeah, people just Google it, like, self-defense, martial arts and stuff like that. And they find us, and then they're like, okay, it's ladies only, right? So they just kind of walk in. And sometimes you'll have like moms who are in the kids class, and then they watch it. They're like, wow, this is really cool. They have this for ladies. Okay, let me join and try it, So so we have a lot of that. And then in one of the branches, the classes I have is for moms and daughters together.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that, I feel like that's really good, because it keeps the moms consistent, because they're dropping their kids off anyway, so they get to jump in and do their thing, so they stay consistent. Otherwise, a lot of times with women, that is the problem, that they can't really be consistent because of issues, family, whatever issues and stuff like that. And women tend to always put themselves last. So
it's
like thing before my jiu-jitsu, right? Yeah. So with men, it's like I don't know what you're thinking, but I got jujitsu now. You know?
You're like, I got to feed my kids. I have to clean the house. I have to do laundry.
Exactly.
I
Yeah,
have to.
yeah. The kids have homework. You know, I'm like, let your kids do their homework themselves. I mean, I don't see the problem. So yeah, so I'm kind of like that. For me, jujitsu is like first, right? So I mean, with as far as like life things are concerned. So anything like, but I have to know that not everyone shares the same passion as I do for jujitsu, and it builds over time as well. So you can't expect the new white belts to come in and have all this passion for the sport when they don't
Mm-hmm.
even know what it is. So yeah, but it takes, I think, the thing that needs to be known is patience. You have to be very patient and give it time, and after some time it will just start growing feet, and start growing.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So you are the very, very first niqab black belt, correct?
Right. Yeah.
So what does that mean to you? Like what kind of contribution do you want to leave behind with being that very first, leading these women that are coming up behind you?
Yeah. It's it's very emotional to me, because it's not just something. It's I don't really care about being the first niqabi black belt or this or that. I feel like everything I have is given to me by God, and alhamdulillah for that. But what it means to me is that I'm paving way for the future Muslims and the women that are in niqab, and the women that are in hijab, because I've had a lot of hijabis and niqabis reaching out to me, and there were some hijabis who were thinking about removing their hijab because it was too uncomfortable to train in, or there were some niqabis who had to quit jiu-jitsu because they couldn't find a place to train. And when I like saw all these things, I said the world needs more ladies only jiu-jitsu. This is not fair, that there are so many women out there who want to learn, and
Mm-hmm.
even black belts that ladies that are willing to teach these women, but it's just somebody needs to bring all of them together. And and I think that's one of the things that jiu-jitsu bff, that's their goal as well. I think you maybe know about them, yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that gets something started, but I feel like the platform, that the small platform that I have, I want to use that to promote jiu-jitsu for women everywhere. Like right now, I have one of my oldest students. She will be moving back to Canada, and she doesn't know about. I told her, you got to find something. I said, if not, you go
Mm-hmm.
ahead and start classes,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna send you weekly videos of techniques, and you go ahead and, because she's a blue belt,
Mm-hmm.
almost purple, so she's more than capable of doing that. And I said, I'll contribute your videos and whatever else advice you need. We'll do that, because Canada has a big jiu-jitsu scene as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So especially for ladies. So I told her, like, and they have stuff in Calgary, but I don't know about Toronto. So yeah, so
There's a lot of jiu-jitsu in Toronto. I
yeah, like,
there's a lot of, so I'm sure there's got to be some women's programs out there.
yeah, yeah. That's why I told her, like, she should look up maybe on Instagram or something, or maybe we
Yeah.
can exchange. If you know any, like, I would definitely like to forward that to her, because she's someone she's had problems after problems, like, with her health and stuff like that. But she always keeps coming back to jiu-jitsu. She's always been such a consistent and committed student, and now she has to move back to Canada, and I would hate for her to have to stop, because it's
Mm-hmm.
like such an outlet for her as
Mm-hmm.
well. So
Yeah.
I just feel that's been for me. I want to use this, being the first niqabi black belt, as a motivation to other women, not as, like, oh, look, I did it. No, it's, you can do it too.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's about. If I can do it, anyone can do it. There's no excuses. You can find your way if you really want to do it, but that's something that you you should have. So if you're finding excuses, that means you don't really want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that's what it is.
No, I think that's amazing. You like just through actions of you being on the mats, just through you having these women's programs, you are, people are watching, so I think
Yeah,
that you are living your truth, right? So,
yeah, that's what I'm trying to do, because that's the philosophy I live by, is that be the change you want to see in the world, you know and I can't help the little things, but I can't help everything, but I can put in whatever I can towards the world. And if this is it, then this is a way for me to not just to serve the community, but also to serve for my religion, and because in our religion, we are the women are encouraged to learn self-defense,
Oh,
and
excellent.
yeah, we're encouraged to do like people think of us as a backwards religion, but actually we're encouraged to do all the we get rewards for doing the things that make us independent, like self-defense, or back in the days when it was so horse riding, which is driving,
Hmm.
and these kind of things we're encouraged to do. So it's not independence is not something that is against Islam.
Hmm.
It's something that whatever you need to get through your life and to protect yourself and things like that, you do it. It's just the cultures are what are giving sometimes many things are there in the Muslim countries, that's cultural,
Hmm.
rather than it being a part of Islam, and we have
Sure.
all the ladies, they like to they get in the pictures and stuff like that, but there are many ladies who can't get in the picture, even though they don't cover
Hmm.
like their face or anything like that, but they don't want to get in the picture because it's considered um, it's frowned upon for a girl to learn martial arts, which is very strange to me because they're educated, very modern, very these kind of things, and it's just I feel like I really believe that's a very backward way of thinking, and it's
Hmm.
got nothing to do with Islam.
Hmm.
Whether a woman does martial arts or not, it's got nothing to do with Islam. If anything, it's encouraged and not discouraged, and
Hmm.
I think that people shouldn't make these connections to Islam because that's very wrongly placed.
Yeah, it's a generalization, and yeah, I get, I can, I appreciate you explaining that. I think that's important for a lot of
Yeah,
people to hear. You know,
definitely.
so what are jujitsu is obviously super important for you to train. What are some reasons for people who are listening, women who are listening right now? What are some reasons why they should start training? If or and what are some advice that you can offer for someone who's maybe kind of on the fence, or or just general advice that you can offer for somebody who's wanting to get started?
Yeah. So, what people see me on social media, all they see is niqabi, black belt, whatever. But me as a person, there are so many things that I have gained from jujitsu that I can't even count. Things like confidence, things like athleticism, things like coordination. I was so bad. I couldn't even catch a ball.
Yeah, you
I
and I
am
are
not.
the same.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I couldn't catch a ball. And now it's like, without thinking, someone throws at me, I catch things. And it doesn't even occur to me, because it's just become, the coordination came in. And so if you're clumsy, it's going to give you coordination. If you're constantly scared, you're going to get confidence. You get a pep in your step, like you just, and a great example is also like if you, okay, for me, right, when I used to like walk through a parking lot before and it's kind of like late and it's empty and stuff like that, I'll start like going into panic mode and start like walk to my car really fast. I mean, I'm sure you've experienced that too sometimes. As women, we generally do fear that
Yeah,
scenario,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And you're like, oh, let me get to the car fast and this and that, and you try to get in your car, lock the car, and get out of there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now after doing jujitsu, I hear someone, like I hear footsteps behind me. Someone like they're just going to their car. It's nothing, but I'm aware, because I'm always waiting. I want to practice my moves on
Give me a
someone,
reason.
right? Yeah. So I'll be
No.
walking, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, my keys are gonna go between my fingers, and like I'm gonna put my bag a certain way so that I'm ready
Mm-hmm.
to fight, and I'm gonna start tying up my everything and getting ready in case I get jumped. So
Mm-hmm.
action plan rather than escape plan. So I'm and it gives me so much confidence and a sense of security because of
Mm-hmm.
that, because I feel like if someone did come at me, I would at least, inshallah, I would have the ability to just pin him down and get out of there. and not be completely a victim. And I really believe in this. And this is what I teach my students. Whenever I teach, we always go over self-defense techniques and stuff like that. And we also have self-defense moves for like getting your hijab pulled off and stuff, because unfortunately that's happening a lot in the world these days as well. And for me, I just said, if someone tries to pull off your hijab, you got to break their wrist. Because that and they should not be able to do that again to anybody.
Yeah.
They should not, that kind of hate is not something you just turn your other cheek to, because
No.
that's just encouraging. So
Yeah.
so we have all these things, and there's so much, like it will give you just a sense of security and confidence, and a sense of complete just empowerment in general. You'll see yourself, even for instance, women who have weight issues, right? You stop looking at your body as an object, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, I need a skinny waist, or I needed this or that. You're like, oh, I need my arms, my biceps, or my thighs need to be thicker for guard. And like you start to think of your body as a weapon,
Yeah.
rather than just an object, or a piece of a wallflower or something like that. So you just it completely changes your view on so many things. And then even exercise, diet, all these things. I do everything I do it to make my jiu-jitsu better. I'm careful what I eat. I'm careful. I hate working out, but the times I work out and the exercises that I work out, they're all for just to maintain my jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So
I'm the same
just
way.
yeah, see? You know what I'm talking about. So it's just that discipline you won't get any other way unless you're obsessed with jiu-jitsu. And then you start to do things that you wouldn't normally do.
Yep.
You'll say no to that big fat milkshake before training, because that's gonna come back.
Like
When
that
someone
will
neon
not
bellies
do
you,
well.
it's not gonna be good. Yeah, so all these things is really and so for so many more reasons, like I would, but the thing I would tell people is just dive into it head first. There's never going to be that good time. There's never going to be that perfect day that you can start jiu-jitsu. It is really now or never. It's just one of those things. You just got to tell yourself, get that 3-month subscription, and just go registration, and just go and just do jiu-jitsu for 3 months straight, and that's it. Then there's no turning back. Then you're just like, you're in it.
You're hooked.
You're hooked, right?
Oh, it was such a pleasure talking with you. I'm so glad that we got to do this. And this is such an important discussion. And I'm glad we got to know you a little bit better as well, and know a little bit more about your story and where you come from, and all the great work that you're doing for these women and for the entire community of women in jiu-jitsu. I mean, I think you're a huge role model for all of us.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I would like to extend an invite to all the Girls and Geese community. Anytime you guys are in Qatar, free of charge, come train with us. Check us out. Even if you can't train, just come in, visit us. And all we want to do is just see the ladies that are training out there, and we know that this is difficult for any woman, niqabi, hijabi, but any woman, it's a man's world in jiu-jitsu. And I think the way to stop that is not by complaining, but by doing something about it. And how do we do something about it? The more black belts, there are so many women black belts who are awesome out there. And the more of us start teaching and taking an active part in the teaching part, the more women are going to feel comfortable training. Because you know what? No matter how good your male coach is, he's not a female.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, some things you got to learn from a woman. I know when women have, that their time of the month and these kind of things, how much they can train. Sometimes women are shy to say these things in the men's classes. And then also I know that I'm not going to let you slide either, Yeah. So, and when you're pregnant, I've had students that I've coached while they were pregnant. I myself trained while I was pregnant. And, so it's these kind of things a man couldn't understand, even if he wanted to, and then at the same time, it's so much more, so much safer when girls train with each other. They can take care of each other, even if they go all out, like we get to train 100% with each other. No, and every time we get a tap, we can know that we got that for real. Yeah, the guy on the other side wasn't going easy on it. This girl was like going all out. I choked her out, so yeah, so there's something like really great about that as well. So yeah, just anyone want to come and experience that with us, you're more than welcome. Hit me up on Instagram, and I'll be there.
Awesome. Well, I will take you up on that offer whenever I'm on that side of the world.
Oh, we'd love to have you. Great.
Oh, well, thank you again. It was such a pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for offering your advice and insight. I think, this is something everyone worldwide can benefit from learning from you and hearing your stories. So thank you again. And thank you everybody for tuning in.
Bye.
Bye.